Last night I had a dream where I was with Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, and we were in this multi-dimensional and multi-layered maze, and the volcano to throw the ring, the one ring into the volcano, was inside one of these dimensions in the maze, and the ring wraiths were trying to chase after us to stop us from putting the ring in the volcano, of course, right? And I told Frodo and Sam to go up ahead, and I turned to the ring wraiths to slow them down, to fight them off. And it was weird because the Witch King, for those of you that've seen Lord of the Rings, you'll understand what I'm saying here. The Witch King had actually turned into a woman. And this woman was someone that I've seen frequently, not necessarily seen as in I'm seeing her, but seen as in she has made it known to me that she is interested. And I have had this intuition that she's just a little too sneaky for me. Like, her physiognomy is that of, well, I don't read too much into physiognomy, but I read more into energy. The physiognomy is definitely more just a show or a physical representation, the form of that way of being in that timeline. And so I just haven't really done anything too much with it, even though I am attracted to her, of course. And she told me in the dream, like after she transformed from the Witch King into this woman, she was like, oh, we can just pretend like we're not doing anything. We can just pretend. So she wanted to be sneaky. She wanted to let me know in the astral realm, or through these dreams, because that's what the dreams are, is the astral realm. She wanted to let me know that she's ready to sneak around. And she implied that she was in a relationship in the dream as well. And I told her, look, as much as I'm interested, I'll regretfully decline. And that was pretty much the end of the dream. But it was so interesting how the context of that was leading up to it. It was almost as if the theatricality of it was much so needed for me to understand how to trust my intuition more when it came to the situation. Now, of course, like, I wasn't really thinking too much about it. It wasn't really on my mind too much. What's my focus in the spirit of the time is, number one, as a priority, my godlike mastery initiates, because those are the people that I'm most involved with. Number two, it's the Regal Academy and the members in there. And then it's one-on-one sessions and just my business in general and my way of life in general. Like, that's what I'm focused on in the spirit of the time. Of course, I put myself first, and I'm focusing on my health and my own spiritual hygiene. And this is something I've seen a lot of people misunderstand when it comes to spiritual hygiene, is that, especially when it comes to women, man, like, your intuition is going to be the most powerful form of understanding anything going on. And then the dreams, what happens in the dreams is a mythological, this is the way that I describe it, as a mythological personal legend that is a mirror of your unconscious mind, or the quote-unquote external world, because it's all one. It's just a matter of what plane of consciousness you're looking at this from. So if you have an intuition about a strange woman or a sneaky woman, and you listen to her, well, you listen to your intuition, because your intuition is very feminine-like, but you listen to that intuition about her, it's probably right. It's probably right. And that's something that we just have to accept sometimes and move on. Don't treat it as a big deal. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I had a whole dream about it, and obviously there was something deep enough going on to where I was having a dream about it, that there was something more to be expressed here, and perhaps even something more to be understood from the people around who are tuning into this frequency, this godlike mastery frequency and sovereignty signal. So whenever we're in these situations, especially when it comes to women, your intuition is going to be your best friend. And a lot of people, they, specifically the men, of course, men will let their emotions be hijacked. And as soon as that happens, as soon as your logic leaves, it's like you are like you're a zebra bowing down to a lioness that's about to eat you. And you're like, oh yeah, it's okay to eat me. It's totally fine. Meanwhile, the lioness is going after a lion. You know, she wants to be with a lion. She doesn't want to be with a zebra that's bowing down to her, right? And so that's kind of what it is like, is for a lot of these men out here. And a lot of the men will refuse to acknowledge that this is the part that they're playing, but that's a whole other story. The whole point really here is that listening to your intuition is going to save you from terrible situations. Maybe not label it like that. How do we want to label this? Because all labels are superfluous anyway. But perhaps the best way to describe this is that if you don't want to be interacting with unnecessary suffering, there we go. If you don't want to be interacting with unnecessary suffering, then the best solution for you is to reconcile that you don't have to play those games if you don't have to. And we're not obligated to be in relationships, you know, we're not obligated to be with anybody really. Now, I think that it's great to be around women, and it's great to be around people in general. I don't mind being in the collective most of the time. It is annoying sometimes, but for the most part, if I can leave and come and go on my own terms, everything's usually okay. It's just when people try to like put you in a box that they, you know, it's like they think that because you share the same space means that you have the same inner architecture. And it's like, that is not the thing at all. And I mean, people will talk about how, oh, you know, you remind me of this person or that person, and you know, it's fine, it's fine and dandy, but it's also like, are you listening? Because the approach that we have, even though the blueprint may be similar, the approach that we have is completely different, and the inner architecture that we have is completely different. So it's not like I don't respect when people have this comparison and such. It's just that, look, the inner architecture is what matters. And I don't think a lot of these superficial labels are gonna help anybody or anything, because it's only gonna confuse people more. And if you want to confuse people and yourself more, and you want to put yourself into a deeper trench of clinging to certain realities, then yeah, go for it. But like, I'm not going to stop you, but I wouldn't, you know, advocate for it either. But yeah, I mean, these women out here are very sneaky, you know. They can be very sneaky, and they can I mean, they can be like the Witch King, right? Like, they are like the ring race sometimes, which is a very interesting, like, the whole transformation of that. Like, that was, you know, a psychopomp. If you're not familiar with the term psychopomp, it's essentially a manifestation of a entity in a dream or a vision. And the way that I think about these, like in my book that I wrote for the last 5 years and published last year, I talked about them as characters of the unconscious, because in my book I would have these dialogues with characters of the unconscious in my visions, and I wrote about it and documented it, and then did a philosophical and psychological analysis following those visions. And one thing that's really important that I did mention also to somebody in a Godlike Mastery session recently was, whenever you're doing art or whenever you're doing analysis of dreams or whatnot, like me personally, I don't analyze until afterward. I don't analyze what I'm doing until after, because what I'm expressing in the moment, in the spirit of the time, is going to be the most important. And that's going to be the most indicative form of where your unconscious truly is, in the spirit of the time. Wow, there's a lot of people out here all of a sudden. It was like empty, and now everybody's gathering around, which is cool, but it's just very interesting. And I would say also that there's so much to be reconciled and appreciated in the spirit of the moment, and there is just absolutely so much to experience that maybe we don't even know that we're ready for. We don't really know that we're not ready for. It's just that there's just so many things that are inconsistent happening in the spirit of the time, and it seems as though our intuition and our trust in ourselves is really going to be the only thing consistent. And so all that we can do is just trust that. All we can do is just trust our own intuition and trust what we're going through as we're going through it. So with all that being said, I trust that this message reached those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, because there's so many people out, which isn't a big deal. It's just maybe we're attracting certain monitoring spirits or something, who knows. But I don't even really believe in monitoring spirits anymore. I don't know, it's like they like it happens, but it's not like the spiritual warfare is real, especially when it comes to intersexual dynamics. Like being celibate, for example, that's a spiritual battle in of itself. But it's only on a certain plane of consciousness that it's a spiritual battle. You know, once you move into timelessness, there is nothing like that. There's just love and maximum positive emotion and life and joy and peace. But it takes the understanding of why spiritual warfare exists on certain planes of consciousness to begin with, to move beyond it. So, with all that being said, apply to the Godlike Mastery offer if you're interested in that total transformation, or join the Regal Academy. Otherwise, peace, be blessed. Until next time.